Okay, good morning, everyone here in Finland, and good afternoon, everyone there in Southeast Asia. All you who are attending online from there. My name is Jani Kaulo. I'm the chair of Finland-Southeast Asia Business Association. And today's webinar is organized in cooperation between our business association and Vision Finland. Our topic is geoeconomics in Southeast Asia, and the aim is to provide valuable insights into conducting business in the ASEAN market, covering aspects such as business relationships, culture, and informal practices. We will hear two interesting presentations from the two esteemed speakers, Professor Tuomo Rautakivi and Director Sanna Selin. Professor Tuomo Rautakivi is renowned in business and academic communities. His extensive experience will provide a scholarly yet practical overview of what Nordic business people should know based on the successes and failures of conducting business in ASEAN countries. He is also the assistant to the Minister of Labor and Vocational Training in Cambodia and the senior university lecturer in ASEAN studies at Jenderal Sudirman University in Indonesia. Tuomo has also held the position of visiting full professor at the Royal University of Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and he served in the past as the honorary consul of Finland in Chonburi, Thailand. Our second speaker, Sanna Selin, works as director of the Department for International Trade in the Ministry for Foreign Affairs of Finland. She will provide a governmental viewpoint on geoeconomics, focusing on how countries use economic tools such as trade and investment to achieve their political goals and how ASEAN countries respond to the geopolitical rivalry between the US and China. After the presentations, we have reserved some time for discussion and question and answer, but we will end the event at 10 a.m. sharp. But before handing over the speech to Mr. Antti Rahikainen from Vision Finland, I will briefly introduce our business association. So Finland-Southeast Asia Business Association is founded in 1993. We operate in Finland, so we are a registered Finnish association. Our work in practice is coordinated by the Finland Chamber of Commerce, and we are part of the global FinCham and Team Finland network. We organize webinars, seminars, and hybrid events like today every year on average from 8 to 12 events with different topics. But we invite academics to speak. We have business people presentations, company cases, like case studies. Also, we have invited also the minister to come to meet our members. This year we have Ville Tavio in the spring in our event. Then we have regular meetings with ambassadors and the embassy people, both Finnish embassies in Southeast Asia and also the ASEAN countries' embassies here in Finland. Then, of course, our member introductions are very important part of our activities because our members want to know what the other members are doing. And if we think about the purpose of business association, it's exactly the most important thing is networking, sharing information, sharing experiences. And then we also organize meetings with delegations from Southeast Asia. For example, next week we are co-organizer in the event initiated by the Embassy of Indonesia in Helsinki. There will be a delegation from Indonesia coming to Finland, and we are part of that, and also our members are also invited to join. Yeah, that's. I don't want to use more time for the presentation. There you see some links. Our own website, our business association website. Then we have a LinkedIn group which you can join to have all the updated information what is going on, and also we share a lot of news articles about dealing with Southeast Asia. And there is also the link for for joining us as a member if you want. Our membership fees are 100 euro for small companies and 200 euro for bigger companies. So I think we will send all the presentations afterwards to the attendees, so you will have this information as well. But now I hand over the speech to Mr. Antti Rahikainen from Vision Finland.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, warmly welcome to all the webinar on behalf of Vision Finland. I'm Antti Rahikainen. I'm the Business Development Manager for Vision Finland. I thank you organizers Joni Kaulo and Miriam Liki and the board of Finland-Southeast Asia Business Association for making this possible. And I also thank the speakers, Tuomo Rautakivi and Sanna Selin, for their contribution. Thank you very much. So before we go to the Tuomo's presentation, I'll quickly introduce what is Vision Finland. First of all, my background, I have been in 31 years in Asia. I'm director for the business development in Vision Finland, also the senior advisor and former president of Thai-Finnish Chamber of Commerce, director of Synergy Company, and former head of COE, Nokia. I was 31 years employed by Nokia. A few words about Vision Finland. It's a business media platform. So our vision is to become a unified business media platform for Finnish and Nordic professionals and executives. And I'd like to make 3 points here. We are bridging the chambers. These are the Nordic and Finnish chambers in Southeast Asia. We have FinCham Finland, or SKAK, as it's called in Finnish. And then we have 4 FinChams and 4 NordChams in Southeast Asia. So we try to collaborate with them, share information, share news, and especially share events. The business media platform, we started 2017 with the Vision Finland magazine. Some of you may be familiar with the magazine. We have been distributing those. 5 magazine has been published. And then we have extended to online. We have make a website available and social media, and now we are starting with webinars as well. So many information channels that are available from Vision Finland. And we also need your support. We are financing this operation with advertising, so please consider us as an advertising channel for yourself. A couple of words about the FinCham and NordCham network in Southeast Asia. Vision Finland tries to help all these Chamber of Commerce, 9 FinChams, 9 NordChams, and the 5th FinCham also in Helsinki. We aim to enhance networking and dialogue between FinChams and NordChams. If we think about the size and volumes of this organization, it's quite big. There are over 500 members within all these organizations, and in social media followers is very huge. 14,000 LinkedIn followers and 12,000 Facebook followers. I share you the links that I hope you can use after the webinar. We are sharing the material through these links. And we would like to also hear your opinion about the webinar and in other ways, how could we help you? We are looking for partners and advertisers. So that's all from me. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Antti. I think we keep the original program plan. So we start with Tuomo Rautakivi's presentation. Floor is yours, Tuomo. Okay.
Okay, good morning and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome this short and fast presentation. First, this is divided in 4 parts, and part 1 is in understanding the ASEAN market, and I think you all know already this information, so we can take in the next slides. And this is in the ASEAN economic forecast by countries, and this is the latest information from ASEAN Development Bank, and why ASEAN is now more important than before. ASEAN overtakes China for manufacturing foreign direct investment in this year. And foreign direct investment to China dropped 80% from 22 to 23. Huge drop. And FDI from China is moving to ASEAN area from foreign companies as China companies also. And we don't have any relevant information yet about the amount of changes of foreign direct investment in the location. And this is ASEAN in glance, and then you can look for that when we send that presentations for you next. And we have one problem. Many people think that ASEAN and European Union are same, but they are different. And they have been very difficult to compare. The European Union is core centralized system, while ASEAN is decentralized organization. And regionalization is part of other, it is in an ASEAN style integration process, while regionalism is in a European Union. Types of development process, informal. And I think that we must do most of this in the presentation to say informality, informality, and informality. While in Europe, formal type of development. And basis for cooperation, corporate, European Union, state, dialogue development, intercorporate, regionalism and European Union intergovernmental, mechanism, trade, investment, relationship, and social networks, mechanism, treaties, and agreements. A total different approach. Next. Reason, European was in an internal reason after the World War II, that nothing happened anymore in this terrible situation, like ASEAN, external, threat of communism, Soviet Union, and China. Ideology, neoliberalism, and cooperative, while ASEAN is mercantilist, or better to say, ASEAN form of mercantilism. Political economy, Europe cooperative, ASEAN area, zero-sum game. Role of institutions. European Union is in a high level of role of the institution and need institution to manage for cooperation and which create mutual trust between states. ASEAN strong national institution instead of international or ASEAN institution, and low level trust of institution. All ASEAN countries except Singapore. Coherence high, stability dynamic, ASEAN low, unity moderate low, and economic integration, European Union is quite high, 70%, while ASEAN is very low, 25%, and no development last 30 years. And leading country in Europe, yes, it has been in German, now it's in a little bit weak, but ASEAN, no. Leadership, no. Number of staff. This example, giving a good example of ASEAN and European Union. Around 32,000 and ASEAN Secretariat just 300. And look for the budget. ASEAN 21 million United States dollars. That is surprising information. Next. Principles of ASEAN, informal structures, consensus, non-interference, harmony. ASEAN is a community with private and informal procedures, that seek to avoid institutionalization. No common trade policy, no investment policy, no custom union, no resolution mechanism. ASEAN cannot enforce its members. ASEAN cannot sign any agreement, like European Union can do it instead, but ASEAN cannot. ASEAN is idea-centered rather than pragmatic-orientated, and that related for harmony organizations. Next. And part 2, doing business is ASEAN. Different history, ethnic makeup, cultures, political system, social systems, and level of development, which make ASEAN very interesting also in same times and challenge. Next. ASEAN is a community with private, okay, next. ASEAN business culture. ASEAN people tend to be forward-looking, try to operate in consensus-based with strong family values, collectivism. But we look for that a little bit later. It's in a different variation between collectivism and cooperation. ASEAN way is an informal, consensus-oriented decision-making process, and the decision often made in a backside, and the formal meetings just signing what has decided already in the backside the doors. Family ties not only occur in family level, but also in the workplaces as in business environment. And because the level of trustiness and ASEAN countries has in a low level of trust in government institutions, as they say, keep government away in our family. And the families are the main owners of the companies. Trust related in social networks, which are less known system in West, and that called Guangxi in Chinese. That we don't even teach in the universities. We have only family and organization, not social level system. It is important to build relationship directly through contacts or agents. So take time to set up a relationship. Harmony orientated also. So progress is important rather than fast solution until end. So the acta sum servant is not important attribute, which is one of the core issue in Europe. But more important is time is must have, because the situation changes next year. We have some problem to understand. We all know ASEAN very well because we are interested in here. And we have a lot of information about ASEAN and the knowledge of ASEAN culture, business culture, procedure, political structure, and the form of the society. And the information based more in feelings and emotion than facts, and on the basis of the research data and scientific evidence. Last updated action plan for Southeast Asia from Finland side is updated May 2015. But that is not a big issue as we see. No need to waste time for ASEAN, frankly to speak. But the state inside the ASEAN is more important. That is not a big issue. And problem, we don't have any professors, university lecturers, university teachers whose concentration is Southeast Asian studies. We have 10 study points you can earn in a university level in Helsinki, and the teachers are China or East Asia and South Asia professional, not Southeast Asia. And in recent years, they have 4 research and thesis from Southeast Asia, one focusing in Indonesian nurses' identity, and another was in museology and comparing the national museums in the East and Southeast Asia and East Asia. That's it. The lack of information. And secondly, Southeast Asia areas research and information based mainly in Western scholars and Western universities. Okay, next. And that is the problem, Mr. Hofstede. Mr. Hofstede created his idea of collectivism and cooperation, focusing exactly corporation, not social networks, and he forget to take also individualism, collectivism, duality. And he exactly focused IBM, which is one of the most common well-known company for common culture. corporate culture. And also the assembly line workers was delay out in this research. It's culture biased, and he only focused in the top management. And then diversity of ASEAN, they have some common structures, all ASEAN countries, and that is social and cognitive structure are similar. Whatever the idea comes, the history comes from India, like in Myanmar or North Thailand or China. But the social and cognitive structure are similar. Here, article collectivism, like example in Finland and Sweden, are egalitarian in present egalitarian individualism, where cooperation, collective action are important attributes. As we begin on research, which is published book in Finland, the individual countries are able to do in a cooperation. And in West, collectivism and cooperation and trust are strongly rooted in organization, institution, and agreements, because in West we can trust all of this organization. And what happens in collective action and cooperation when we go beyond the family boundaries, or there is another level of pattern of collectivism and cooperation? Next. That we look for already. Next. For outgroup, a social trust network. This is what is missing in the Western science and business ideas, because all of this marketing and how to enter market and do based in Hofstede. For outgroup, you are outgroup if you are not a family member. Outgroup collective action to be creative, there needs to be more socialization. We Finns are not so well in this factor, which means more interaction, communication, and exchange of information among outgroup members to build trust and understanding. There is also additional level which can call guangxi, and that is very important. The social trust network developed as non-familial relationships are transformed into familial ties. It is a growth in interpersonal trust that enables the progress of complex transactions. To create the acceptance in guangxi, one needs time and mentor. And I can explain that in some later if somebody wants to know how that's working and how that's happened. Next. Okay. And it is, I think, as we talk of this already, keep government out of the family. And this kind. Next. Okay, part 3, ASEAN business environment. In here, we don't take under the consideration political, economical, and legal system, because the limitation of the time and all of we have in your experience about that we are professional and some links in ASEAN. And that is part of public policy and public procedure, and that can be another part, like example, how to enter public procurement, example in Thailand, and how to enter government projects, similar like we have in Finland, Hilma system. Apply finance for the project development or research. There is plenty of finance in ASEAN areas, and the application system is easier than in Finland. And after they apply, they don't, the control is not so strict, because what is in missing ASEAN countries executive control system. But the application system is quite short and not so bureaucratic. That we can talk later. And okay, yeah, and in here we concentration is SME business, because time of limitation, big corporations and companies have normally capacity, human capacity, and expertise to handling these issues. Next. ASEAN business environment, introduction. Informality, and one time more informality. In Southeast Asia, this coming upon paper in Finland. In Southeast Asia, government project tends to proceed from the top down, from G to BTB. The memorandum of understanding is the basis for the other activities and give local authorities the backing to continue discussing with the executive. Usually on the Finnish side, these are Finnish companies. Remember, MOU are polite system in Asia, like we shake hand. I have in my office 60 different kind of form for MOU for different things to using. And remember, ministries don't have money for the projects. They are organizations which main responsibilities are prepare laws, regulation, and decisions relating to its fields of activity. Similar kind like in Finland. Allocate funds to the government agencies and institutions, evaluation, and so on. Ministries normally don't let and manage the project. They may give the frameworks for projects, and formal procedure is slow and heavy. So don't waste your time to do this kind of top level in the government. Don't waste your time. Institution and department level is the correct place. Same like you many know in the Asia exchange, EduNation. I was in there when they start this two young energetic men start that. We went institution, and inside the institution we take in a departmental level and then go up. Same like in Indonesia, the social media company was making a presentation, they go also bottom up. Next. Okay, the business environments from culture, and okay, the informal relation crossing the borders in Southeast area and networks crossing the borders. So it is important to enter some country and then easy access to other market. Take under the consideration also free trade agreement. Maybe Bangkok, Singapore is not the best place to enter the market. Because if you go in the countryside or less developed areas, you take good wills when you do in a development there. And when you are first, they support for you different way. And decisions are taken behind the closed doors. And find the people behind the decision makers. And if you have the possibility, set up work committee. That is also easy to do. Who will propose the idea in higher level, department level, where the operative level exists. That is the correct. Okay, next. Okay, it's a relationship between directly or the throat and with the agent. And relationship, and remember, relationship is in a different than trusted social networks. They are two different things. And remember that relationship and social trust networks are two different things. When we do it, we have a good relationship. Okay, fine, but it's different, however, about the question of how deep is the system. When you are part of alumni of OneC, that also means that you also need to work for them, but they help for you also. I, example, now in the assistant for the minister, I don't ever apply, but this country's working in the alumni at once. Next. Timing. A partner will bring along connection, knowledge of language, and intricacies of the business and industry, especially in Indonesia, Cambodia, and Myanmar. But in these countries, it's relatively easy to operate when you enter the system, because what is missing, executive control system. Then you are quite free. And as I sometimes when I starting in there, I ask what can I do? Do as you wish and what you think is the best way. I don't ask you, I don't hire you to ask stupid things. Do the solution. And when you ask the official meetings, be prepared to spend time and money in establishing yourself and developing your business. And when you are meetings, don't talk too much. Silence is golden. Talk as short as possible. And this is good opportunity for the Finnish people. As we have also in very good things. Okay, before official meeting, socialization is important. Spend your time with potential customer or partner. Go to eat, karaoke, make fun with them outside the office time, because then you have your time.
Yeah, it's true.
No. Before official meetings, try to set up unofficial meetings and negotiation again outside the office time. Then you have time to eat and talking the issue before you propose that in the top level and it's more official.
So get some training how to sing well, and then
Absolutely.
get along with
Yes.
the people there.
Informality is important. Again, informality. As I say, low level of trust and institutions. Next. Emotion. This is also very difficult to understand for the rest of people. Investor societies, organization, whether it is company, corporation, or government, matters most and gets priority and attention. As noted earlier, rooted in organization and agreements when ASEAN member countries are not. There is not always so in ASEAN member states. Often people, families, and guangxi matter more. In most of significant potential companies are family controlled in Southeast Asia. There will be times when profit may not be the priority of the owners or when market share could take backseat. Management decision also made based in emotion rather rational process. Was in 2010, which is number one in marketers scholar in Southeast Asia, and you always mention a similar way and described as a member states organization are often emotional organization without rational. And that we facing in there quite often. Okay, next. Secrecy, not that transparency. In ASEAN member countries and government agencies, still is also not up par as the culture is one of secrecy, not transparency. And that's facing also the local companies, not only the foreign companies. Lack of information and communication, public tenders and local SME companies facing same problem. No information where to go. The problem of corruption because low salaries, but it will be wrong to conclude that the corruption in business cannot occur. Example, I don't never face corruption, never. And best way is understand the role and significance of alumni and enter the quality system. Next. Part 4, Geoeconomics in ASEAN. As noted earlier, Finland Action Plan for Southeast Asia updated May 2015. It's not a big issue because ASEAN don't sign any agreement or make any decision about business or anything else. This part is made together with the official from Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Finland, Affairs in Indonesia and Thailand, and Department of Economic Policy. Some recommendation to Finnish governments as a business sector. Geoeconomics and the action plan for Southeast Asia. The action plan for Southeast Asian region should look at the region not as an ASEAN region or a group of cooperative nations, but take into consideration of the regional geopolitical between member countries with non-ASEAN members. It go to the ASEAN countries, not ASEAN countries, and ASEAN non-member countries. There has been ongoing relation between China, Japan, South Korea, US, EU members with each ASEAN member state, not ASEAN. Next. Looking at the involvement in international relations, international trading and investment, and social context are significant factors in designing the action plan for Finland. Currently, this is extremely important factor in case of Indonesian new capital, Nusantara. Why? Indonesia is not finance for Nusantara. You must go when you want to do something. You don't need to go to talking with the Indonesian. You must find who finance Nusantara. And they pay 80% of Nusantara. And half of the staff of the Nusantara office are more than Indonesian. Find who finance the system. As the relationship play important role in business deals, so understanding your competitors from other countries and understanding your client is crucial. Very important. Next. Finnish perspective. And that we make together. Finland needs to have a new and clear strategy with Asia and Southeast Asia to increase the export figure and to reserve the shortage of human resources and other resources which Finland can get from those countries. However, Finnish organizations need to understand the culture and have the right approach. Entering the ASEAN market without local presence is not easy. However, setting up a full corporate or factory at the initial stage is not necessary. Searching for a local partner is also not easy. So setting up a small strategic office is more practical and more suitable for testing the water. And you can take in a BOI privileged example in Thailand for this kind of office also. Local or regional office is compulsory, meaning setting an office in Singapore and setting office in Laos will give a total different perception in the eye of the customer. Singapore is normally not the best place. And that is one problem. The business delegation trip with the ministerial level is not an effective approach. Mostly schedules are tight, meeting time is short, representatives attend for protocol, action takers are always not there, difficult to follow up. Attaching to the delegation trip, each corporation should have their own consultant ready who can be the business connectors that can also handle the collaboration, administration, and follow-up. Next. Thank you.
Thank you, Tuomo. For very opinionated presentation. I'm sure this will maybe attract some questions later. Today hopefully we have some time for that also at the end. But now we move to the next presentation. Director Sanna Selin from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you to Professor Rautakivi for very inspiring start. So I will move a little bit to the different angle, how we are seeing the area, and maybe bringing this more bureaucratic view to the things, and a little bit the big picture, the world we are living in. And I will talk a lot about Asia Pacific, but this is actually Southeast Asia or ASEAN. So we are talking about the same area. Asia Pacific, of course, it's a very wide area, but all the growth that is happening now, it's in Southeast Asia in many ASEAN countries. And then I will talk about a lot about EU, and why I talk about EU is that in European Union we have a common trade policy. So Finland, as a single country, don't have own trade policy. We cannot have our own trade agreements, and all the trade agreements that Finland has since we became the member of the European Union are in the European Union level. So that's why it's important. So let's start maybe with the first slide. So the global developments such as the technological and economical rivalry between the US and China, the twin transition of green and digital, and continuing turbulence in supply chains, and then finally the economic aftermath of Russia's aggression in Ukraine have instrumentally changed the world order in the past years. And not only in geopolitics, but we are also experiencing rapid changes in geoeconomic scene. In this first slide, I have just put some of the keywords that we are talking a lot now. And these rapid changes in geoeconomic scene, we have seen the new alliances built. We have seen resilience is strengthened and trade diversified and redirected. We talk about decoupling and de-risking, nearshoring and friendshoring. The role of the state has become more important, and the state aid in many countries has been liberally used over the past years. And due to geopolitical changes, we have started actively map strategic dependencies and find measures to improve our own economic security. And what is relevant for our discussion today is that all the big trade powers, including USA, China, and the European Union, have their eyes on the Asia-Pacific region. The importance of the region has been noticed, and everybody wants to cooperate with the region. The relative economic weight of the European Union is gradually shrinking, and despite of our active efforts to strengthen our free trade agreement network, which is the largest in the world, the EU's free trade agreements cover only 44% of our external trade. With the ASEAN countries, we have the European Union has free trade agreements in place with Vietnam and Singapore, and we are negotiating with Indonesia since 10 years now, Thailand and Philippines, and very soon, hopefully, Malaysia will also follow. In addition to free trade agreements, also more narrow deals, such as ones dealing with digitalization, supply chains, or regulatory cooperation, is needed to advance EU and EU companies' interest. And when we are discussing about the twin transition, meaning the green and digital transition, the topic of critical minerals cannot be overlooked. There is a huge demand and huge potential for minerals such as lithium, cobalt, nickel, and copper. And many Southeast Asian countries also have good reserves in several critical minerals that the whole world needs. It is good to notice that some of our trading partners have been creating new free trade agreements with the wide reach of country, GDP, and rules coverage. Here we need to mention the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP, and the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP. Another important framework arrangement in the region of Southeast Asia is the US-led Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, IPEF. However, it remains still undeveloped in the key areas and faces uncertainty about its future now when the US presidential elections will be held later this year. And here we must remember that IPEF, the US-led framework, is not including market access in its trade pillar, which has been, of course, the key element of the EU trade deals. And when we are talking about the Southeast Asia, we also have to talk about the China's role in the region. China's role in the region and also globally has strengthened rapidly in the past years. China is an important trading partner for many ASEAN countries. Trade agreements, investments, and financing are among the main tools to engage partners. Belt and Road Initiative is China's global infrastructure development strategy, as you all know. And all ASEAN countries have joined the Belt and Road Initiative by signing the Memorandum of Understanding with China. As Professor Rautakivi already mentioned, that a Memorandum of Understanding is here also important. And very often Chinese standards are introduced when countries sign investment deals with China. So not international standards, but the Chinese standards. Then trade war. Everybody knows the trade war is going on and continuing between the USA and China. And it has taken some new turns. New trade restrictions have been imposed and tariffs increased. The competition on technological leadership and access to the critical raw materials is mastering the global trade relations nowadays. And ASEAN countries are, of course, balancing their relations with big powers, and so does the European Union. We can say that the international trade has been weaponized. The trade is used as a weapon to achieve political goals. International trade rules have very much been compromised, and economic coercion becoming a tool of influence. Several European countries, but also the countries in the Southeast Asian area, have experienced economic coercion. And unfortunately, this tendency keeps growing. In the European Union, during the past years, we have seen an active building up of new legislation to protect our interests better and strengthen our resilience. While there's a legitimate basis for our policy, some of the European Union autonomous measures, the new legislation, have been designed in a manner that has contributed to what is being perceived as a more defensive and restricted overall EU trade policy. Finland is a firm believer in rules-based open trade. We need new trade agreements and other type of partnerships, diversifying our trade, opening new markets for our companies, lowering the prices, and leveling the playing field. A more consensual approach to advancing our policy goals could be created by relying more on positive incentives and market-driven solutions in addition to restrictions. So there is a keyword of using more carrot and not to the stick in the EU's toolbox. And EU also should rethink its approach to cooperation with Asia-Pacific region, because much of the recent progress in field of market access and development of rules has taken place in the context of Asia-Pacific regional deals mentioned earlier. And here we have the slide where you can see that how different countries are part of the regional deals. So it looks quite complicated picture, and it keeps changing. Until now, EU has been taking a bilateral approach, but we think that this approach should be readjusted if we want to maximize access to of our companies to the Asia-Pacific regional markets and value chains. EU-China trade remains robust, and our investment ties are deep. It's good to mention that China has moved up in value chains and has established itself as a world leader in many industries. Professor Rautakivi earlier said that many foreign direct investments have moved from China to the neighboring countries. And this is, of course, well noted also in the government level. So maybe next slide, let's see what we have there. Okay, it's the more information side, but here, if I'm coming back to the ASEAN area, which we are talking about today, the policymakers in the ASEAN countries in Southeast Asia should focus on striking a delicate balance between the advantages of trading with China against the risks stemming from the over-dependence of China. And ASEAN should make efforts to diversify trading partners, to offer their businesses a reliable alternative to China, and to diminish their vulnerability to external shocks. Local supply chains will lessen ASEAN's dependency on imported components and the materials, while also allowing them to emerge as global suppliers. Countries in Southeast Asia should also actively pursue bilateral and regional trade agreements to enhance their trade relationship with the varied set of partners. And from the governmental point of view, Finland considers the ASEAN region as a whole and the countries therein to be among the most important trading partners for the European Union, as well as for the Finland bilaterally, and we should continue development further our economic cooperation. And here to conclude, the Ministry for Foreign Affairs and the large network of Finnish embassies all over the world are in your service when you need help in international trade question or market access question. And we can also help you in solving trade barriers and open doors in the new markets or even the established markets. And I'm sure you all are very well familiar with the Team Finland network and the different actors. So please do not hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. And here are some more information and useful links about the EU's relations with ASEAN countries, the trade agreements we have in place. And then also I would like to mention the access to market, where you can also, the companies can find information about the trade barriers and the rules of origin and so on for their businesses. And then the last one, the link to the ministry's web pages. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanna, Selin, for the presentation. Now we have heard two very interesting, informative presentations. I can see that there have been actually quite a lot of discussion in the chat already, which is a good sign, because that's the purpose of a good webinar and seminar, to raise discussion, comments, and questions. But now we have 10 minutes time to take those comments, hopefully by words, spoken words. So please, the floor is yours, participants. Questions, comments. Jussi.
Yeah, I would have a comment and question to both speakers. Our government at the moment has defined 3 countries in Asia as kind of closer partners, or maybe Australia, Japan, and Korea. While I don't know exactly about Australia, Japan and Korea are actually very tough competitors to Finnish and other European companies, also in Southeast Asia. So how could we develop our competitive edge also in Southeast Asian countries, for example, through financial tools on a European level? And how do you see this partnership in Japan and Korea? What is possible and what is maybe not possible in terms of cooperation?
She is probably unanswered.
It is.
Yeah, I tried. Thank you for the very good question. And of course, I mean, when I think that also in the government program there is Asia Pacific region mentioned.
Yeah.
So not necessarily by naming the countries, but when we think about the trade policy now, what is happening? All the active trade negotiations are happening in the Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
And with Japan and Korea, we of course already have the trade agreements, and they have remarkably improved the Finnish companies' trade with those countries. So of course they are very like-minded with Finland and with the European Union already. I mentioned in my presentations the supply chains, which is of course, I mean, something that we are looking at. So that's one area of interest that we should cooperate with, and of course, I mean, the Southeast Asia, as Professor Rautakivi already mentioned, that we should see the area. I mean, it's not homogeneous area. It's also a set of very different kind of countries who share some of the values and some basic principles. But we should look at the countries like one by one. And I didn't mention in my presentation that European Union actually started the free trade agreement negotiations with ASEAN years back. Now I don't remember exactly the year. Maybe somebody remembers. But then things were not really moving ahead, so we decided that let's proceed first with bilaterally with each country, and then maybe later we could combine the trade agreements. And we are talking a lot about the agreement with Singapore, which is a kind of model agreement in the Southeast Asia. And I could see that there is our ambassador Juha Markkanen in Singapore, so online as well. So maybe to answer this, I don't know if I could answer to your. But please.
And I also meant that, for example, Japan and Korea are generously funding Japanese and Korean companies in Southeast Asia through development banks. So could we have something similar on a European level also to assist our companies operating there?
This is not really my field.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not the foreign ministry who could maybe answer this, at least not in my department, but of course there is a program the European Union level. We have the Global Gateway that has some projects. Now I don't remember exactly if there is some of them in the Southeast Asia. So this is actually one of the ways that some financing could be found.
You can find the finance from Southeast Asian countries. Example, ROC, Republic of Korea, ASEAN Fund, Republic of Korea in Mekong Fund. They have in a JETRO Fund from Japan, and they have in many, and they have in a different funds. Example in education where you can find it, and the process are easier than in example in Europe.
Yeah.
There is, but as I said, the problem is lack of information.
Yeah.
And the Southeast Asian companies facing exactly the same problem. It's not only the problem for the foreigners, but it's because hierarchical societies, the communication and share the information is not important as it is. But I recommended that to try to find in the finance in that area.
Yes, there was also a question from online. I can read it fully because we can see it fully here.
Yeah.
Regards from Penang, Malaysia, and Malaysian-Finnish Business Council. We have seen new semiconductor factories popping up really fast in past couple of years, and the latest industrial area in Vatlukawan is already full. Similar boom going on in Selangor. What kind of opportunities this multinational semicon industry investments in Malaysia opens up to Finnish businesses? Sure, if we any ideas?
No, I can say nothing about this. It is so specific industry with specific location.
Do we have online anyone from our embassy in Malaysia or Business Finland representatives in the region who might be the right person to answer? No.
Yes, I think Business Finland could be the right contact point for this question.
Yeah, I would advise maybe to be in contact with the Business Finland in the region. So I'm sure that there are some information that has been gathered already.
Okay, and then there's a question of a sustainable and eco-friendly product supplier in the Philippines. How do you foresee the influence of these products on the future of the EU, ASEAN, and the global market? So for sustainable and eco-friendly products, how do you foresee the influence of these products on the future of the EU, ASEAN, and the global market?
That is very difficult to say in Finland, so that I cannot answer in this because my expertise are in that area. Yes.
Yeah, actually, there is a good point. Ambassador Juha Markkanen just raised up the name Pekka Laitinen. I think he is the correct person in Malaysia to contact.
Absolutely.
About the question regarding Malaysia.
Yeah. And then, of course, I mean, what comes about the eco-friendly products, I think this is the tendency globally that people are more interested in buying eco-friendly products. And of course, I mean, now we have this EU-Philippines free trade agreement negotiations just started. So of course that would maybe also bring some benefits when for these products, but it's difficult to say since we don't know exactly what products we are talking about here. But again, I would advise to be in contact with our embassy and the Business Finland for exact information in the area.
Any more questions? It's 10 o'clock already.
No new questions.
I would like to say in here for Ambassador Juha Markkanen, thank you for your valuable comments and show that you was interesting in this presentation. It's made me very happy, and I think that our forthcoming ambassadors to Nigeria also didn't feel safe. Thank you.
Thank you. There's actually one more question if we have maybe a minute or two for this one. China's role and the hold in the region are obviously very strong. What do you think should or could be done by the EU to further enhance European companies' prospects in the region in the big picture?
Well, maybe I could comment here that, of course, the trade agreements that we are negotiating is a very important tool, but also the other type of partnerships and cooperation that we could have with the countries in the region will then, of course, make our position stronger in the area.
Thank you.
And of course, maybe I checked some of the global gateway projects, and there's plenty in the ASEAN area also. So of course, that's one way.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock, a bit past 10 already, and I want to thank you once more, Professor Tuomo Rautakivi, Director Sanna Selin, for your presentations. Thank you to all the participants there online and here in Central Chamber of Commerce, and thank you also for the comments, questions, and discussion. I can see that this would have actually raised. I think we could have continued the discussion longer, but unfortunately, time is up now. And Antti, you want to add something to the end?
Very quickly, I want to thank all the participants and all the speakers and organizers. And now that we have started this kind of dialogue, let's continue. We are looking for opportunities for other webinars, topics, ideas. So please stay in touch with us.
Thank you very much.